Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode from my YouTube channel, Jim's 5am Club. It's 5:45. It appears to be a beautiful, balmy autumn morning, and I'm up here on the International Passenger Terminal. And I was just reflecting, saying that it's not going to be long before I'm up here and my view of the Opera House will be obscured by hopefully many passenger liners coming to Sydney to drop off and pick up tourists and passengers who hopefully will be travelling all over the world, from all over the world to all over the world, and enjoying the beauty that this country has to offer, and to hopefully reconnect us with the outside world. So what I'm going to do today, like I normally do virtually every single morning, is we're going to go through a book summary entitled The Culture Code by an author named Daniel Coyle. There's not much light up here, so I'll just head back down. But I thought it'd be nice to kick off today's summary by just sharing with you the beauty, the peacefulness of this vantage point where I am this morning. And it's all mine. I've got it all here for myself. Nobody else up here. Everybody else is at home or preparing to start their day and come to work. But I'm very fortunate indeed that A, I start work early in the morning, and B, that I get an opportunity to kick off my day with an opportunity to showcase and highlight the beauty of this country that I live in, and also to overlay it where possible with some OPE, other people's experiences that we get in the form of book summaries that we can share with each other, and hopefully pick up some life hacks, some skills that we can use in our lives, some ideas, some knowledge that we can use to, manage and compare and contrast the slithers of reality that each and every one of us have with the slithers of reality that other people, such as authors, have been able to put together, so that we can compare it, and as we said, compare it and contrast it to see where we intersect in terms of what is real for each and every one of us, to corroborate and to make us feel a little bit more comfortable that we are participating and enjoying the fruits of what this beautiful country has to offer us. So the book that I've got today, as I said, is entitled The Culture Code by Daniel Coyle, and it was published on the 5th of September 2017. So it's a book which is almost 5 years old, but the messages, of course, are timeless, and you'll be able to listen to this book in 100 years' time, or read this book and understand that, as we say, the messages are timeless. So this book here is all about generating and building culture in high-performance teams, and the author suggests there are a number of points that one can consider in order to foster, nurture and generate the right culture to empower its members, its team members, to go on to bigger and better things. So the author kicks off the book with a quote, and the quote is a thought-provoking quote, where he says that rather than avoiding conflict or promoting carefree attitudes, it's really important that, because what we're suggesting here is that, good teams don't thrive on carefree attitudes. So rather than avoiding conflict, and that good teams don't avoid conflict. So there's a couple of messages there straight away. But what he's saying is that rather than avoiding conflict or promoting carefree attitudes, successful teams will confront the difficult truths and bring them into the open. So this book here is going to investigate how high-performing teams come together and what some of the building blocks are to establish them and to help promote them into something which is bigger and better. So the three key ideas in order to build the right culture in a team, in a family, in a community, in a nation are as follows. So the first one that the author focuses on is where he talks about the fact that great teams build psychological safety nets that allow its people to put themselves forward, to put themselves out there, to give them the courage, the confidence to fully express their talents, their skills, their will in an environment which is supportive and nurturing, so that they can go for it, have a crack without feeling unsure about whether or not or how the team is going to react to their success, but more importantly, how the team's going to react to the times where they're going to fail. And every single person, regardless of how good you are, at some point in time will fail in their endeavours. The plans don't always go according to plan, and we know that oh so often. So this book talks about the importance of setting up and establishing an environment where people feel supported in a healthy and a respectful manner. So it's not easy to do that. Now, we've all grown up and we've been subject to environments, to family structures, to government structures, to school structures, where you don't feel confident in your ability to do things and to not be isolated and ostracised if what you do doesn't necessarily deliver the desired outcomes. So the author talks about a coach as an example in terms of what that coach did to generate the right environment. And this coach's name is Coach Popovich, or Popovich of the San Antonio Spurs. And he says that the importance of a particular coach and their particular coaching style is that Coach Popovich would always tell you the truth with no BS. So you knew that your coach, your mentor, the team leader was a person who would tell you the truth without any BS. But you also knew that with the truth that came from the coach's mouth, that he loved you to bits, he believed in you, he respected you, and he wanted to share with you an opportunity for both you, the team, and I'd say the coach as well, to be able to grow and develop together and use the opportunities, the good opportunities and the negative opportunities, to be springboards, to be stepping stones to further greatness. And it was all part and parcel of a path, a journey that everybody is on, and to respect that and to leverage that and to use it to everybody's benefit. Because you never know. You never know where the lessons of life are going to be used most in your life. For some people, it's going to be used in the game to win the grand final, to kick that penalty, to kick that goal, to score that try, to intercept that pass and run the length of the field and score. But for other people, the lessons that they learn by being coached in the game, they may use later on in life to help them generate, deliver, build a family, a community, and a life which is bigger and more important to them than the actual game. I remember another coach that I've studied over the years, Coach John Wooden, who said that the most important thing is to become a good person. The most important thing isn't to win the grand final, isn't to score the try, isn't to get the points and be the best and fairest. What's far more important is who you become and how you support not only your team, but your family, your community, and everybody who comes into contact and touch with you throughout your lifetime. So that's the first point. So what we'll do now is we'll try and move on to the second point. And I can see a moon, a slither of a moon up there, and it's like a big, bright smile. How wonderful is it to be presented by such a beautiful sight as a accessory to the slithers, the slices that we see in front of us in terms of the magnificent Sydney Opera House, which are bathed in that beautiful light early this autumn morning. So the author talks about the second point in terms of building a wonderful culture within your family, your business, your team, your corporation, your community. And he says that sharing vulnerability is another key aspect. And I know that sharing vulnerability for many people, especially males, is something which brings discomfort, and it's cultural as well. There are some cultures who don't like sharing vulnerability, don't like sharing the things that make them feel uncomfortable. But what this book is all about is where it reminds us that being able to share vulnerability is a critical and an important aspect that we all need to consider. So what is sharing vulnerability all about? And the author here reminds us that by being able to share vulnerability, and I know that there's an author who's a champion on vulnerability. Brené Brown has written a number of books that talk and focus on how we are vulnerable and how we can leverage vulnerability. And this book here, once again, covers that point as well. And it says that vulnerability and sharing vulnerability helps to create trust, and it signals to all of those around you in your team that it's okay, it's really okay to make mistakes, and to know that we're not perfect. We're all work in progress, and we're all trying to do our best. We're using our skills as best we can, but there are times when it's just not going to work according to plan, as we said before, and we need to understand that we're all battling the same demons. We all have the same fears, and we need to nurture each other by sharing the fact that we are all in the same boat. And it's going to work sometimes, it's not going to work other times, but to accept it, to appreciate it, and to be okay with it. It's okay to admit that you don't have all the answers. And what happens is there is a thing called a vulnerability loop that this author talks about, where when one person is able to step up, and hopefully, usually it's the coach or the captain of the team, when you've got one person who's able to volunteer to step up and to talk about their vulnerabilities, it encourages others in the team to also be able to comfortably talk and expose their vulnerabilities as well. Because living, working, and supporting an environment of high candor, being able to talk the truth, being direct and honest with each other, generates an exchange that leads to more trust. And we need more trust in the world, according to this author and according to what we know ourselves. And that more trust, higher levels of trust, tend to foster and generate better performances across the board. And especially during times of high stress. So it's highly effective during times of high stress, knowing that our vulnerabilities are out there, being judged, but being judged fairly in a loving environment, in an honest environment, where we know and we expect to fail or to have challenges, but to know that there is a safety net out there which is not going to swallow you up and spit you out. So the last point generated by this book summary that I'm delivering today is where the author says that the third most important thing, or one of the three most important things that a team needs to get right, is it needs to establish a thing called a common purpose, where we invest in the thing called the group story that keeps on reminding each other about what we stand for, what we're here for, what we're doing, and the fact that we are all individual links in a long chain, and that each person is as important as each other, because the strength of that long chain depends on the commitment and the strength of each of the links within that chain. So I remember working in an organisation many years ago called Advantra, and we had a young CEO, a young but very, very effective, very well educated, very, very well versed and mentored CEO, and his name was Craig Cameron, who came from Telstra. And he would spend a lot of time talking about the company story, the group story, the team story, and he'd be telling us over and over again what the strategy was. When the time came for us to put together our job descriptions and our KPIs, he would first give us his KPIs and say to the organisation, this is what I am trying to achieve as the CEO. And I want to filter this down to each and every one of you so that when you're putting together your job description, what you're basically doing is you're telling your story. You're sharing your story in terms of how you're going to contribute to this organisation achieving its goals and achieving its story. So each link in the chain is going to say and going to tell the whole chain, what it's bringing to the table and how it's going to give strength and purpose and direction to the chain, which is called the group, the organisation. The author in this book also talks about Starlings in flight. I don't know if you've seen pictures or vlogs or videos where you see in certain countries during certain times of the year, you just see a black cloud just flying and just moving as if it's in an orchestra or if it's in a dance, just moving as one. And the author here says that similarly, we too, in an organisation, in our groups, need to act like those starlings do. I think I call them Sterlings. They're actually called starlings. And what happens is that during the flight, each starling gives a signal to each other starling in a continual, coordinated message to tell them where they're heading. So the message is communicated, is passed on to each other starling, which then helps them coordinate and orchestrate a wonderful dance of flight, which, as I said before, enables them to appear as one beautiful coordinated movement. Very similar to an orchestra, very similar to other things that happen in our lives, which just look absolutely beautiful and are mesmerising. So it's this persistent communication between one and the other that enables them to act as one. And as Craig Cameron used to say, that when you're in an environment of constant and never-ending change, you need to over-communicate. You need to keep on communicating with each other so that everybody is on the same page. Everybody knows where we're going, where we came from, where we're heading, where we currently are, and we can act, as we said, as one and contribute to the purpose and the coordinated movement so that we're not getting in each other's way. We're not stepping on each other's foot, but we're moving ever so slightly, ever so purposefully in the one direction. So culture, according to this author, is where the members, where each of the members interact with each other in a way which creates an overall movement for the whole group. And this movement, this interaction, this dance that each of us have with each other fits in with the overall dance and reinforces and reinvigorates and energizes and directs the whole outcome. Because it's all about these micro signals that the author says. And as we said, we signal to each other what we're doing, where we're heading. And as long as those signals and those steps and those movements are aligned to the overall goal, are aligned to the overall group values, then that's where each and every one benefits by being part of the group and by contributing to the group. So thank you very much once again for joining me on this morning episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can see, we're moving further and further into autumn, and until we get to daylight savings, it's going to be darker and darker every morning. I can just see the first light just starting to appear on the horizon, but it is starting to clear up. I can see the moon, I can see a couple of stars, maybe a planet up there, could be Mars, could be Venus, not quite sure. But it looks like it may be a better day today than what it was yesterday. So happy Wednesday to each and every one of us. I'll head back down to the station, head back to work. But once again, thank you for joining me on this episode of my YouTube channel, Jim's 5am Club, where we went through a book summary entitled The Culture Code, where hopefully we learnt a few tricks, a few important things, a few life hacks, career hacks that we can incorporate into our lives, into our families, into our communities. So I think I'll leave it there. So wishing you all the very best on this new day. We don't know where it's going to lead us, but surely it's going to take us somewhere. Just like we've all had a different past, we're all going to experience a different present. I am here, you are where you are, and we're all going to have a different future. But hopefully we can do it in a coordinated pattern where we can micro-signal each other and work to a purpose, a good purpose, where we can leverage and help each other grow and develop, and to live in a community as a community rather than selfishly just trying to achieve our own individual needs. Hopefully we can coordinate those needs so that each and every one of us are fulfilled and benefit, but also the group is able to leverage each other's skills and achieve bigger and better things. Take care, have a good rest of the day, and wishing you a wonderful Wednesday. Yasas, bye for now, and be good to each other. Ciao.